Welcome to Ladder Daily Digest. We honor creators, and it's another Tuesday and another Tuesday night with Tim. And we're in virtually Tim's living room. We've been other places with Tim as well, including the hospital. That's always fun. Tim is dedicated. We hope that
And the toilet.
the audience is just as dedicated with Tim as we are, as he is. I mean, yeah, I was avoiding saying that, Randy. So
Yeah, I'm glad you left that for me. Thank you.
yeah, it goes unsaid. The people who know, right?
If you
Randy's
know, you
always for a
know.
laugh.
I just put in the comments the link if somebody wants to join us. Randy, do you have a strange encounter of the Mormon kind? This
Oh,
is
yeah.
this came about because Megan said that there were sacrament meeting. I don't know if it was talks or other hijinks that went on that she thought would make a good show. We're hoping Megan comes on soon and shares the fabulous stories that she has. I know she's busy with flood in Texas, not reparations. What do you call it? Operations. And so anyhow, we're doing our best. So I'll let Randy start off while because Tim's older. We need to give him a chance to think things through so that he's succinct and informative and entertaining by the time Randy's done about 30 minutes from now with his story.
Oh, man. I think that was a shot to both of us right there.
Sure was. Sure was. Definitely.
So, yeah, of course I have a story. I actually have several strange encounters. Hey, Diamond Dave.
What
Hey,
up?
Dee Dee.
Yo.
So, when I moved to Memphis, Tennessee, the ward that I was in was full of strange encounters of the Mormon kind. The first thing that happened, the first meeting we went to was a fast and testimony meeting. And this, we went through the kids first. I'd like to bear my testimony. I know the church is true, yada, yada, yada. And then this lady stands up and she walks up to the pulpit and begins to sing, "We thank thee, O God, for a prophet," into the microphone. She was a very kind, elderly lady. And as she's singing, she brings out a washcloth from her purse and kind of, flips it like this and lays it over her head and finishes singing, "We thank thee, O God, for a prophet." And then she goes on to tell us that she has been ordained as a prophet for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And that her washcloth is how she receives revelation. When she's wearing that, the Lord knows to reveal the truths to her. And
Oy
she
vey.
began to start prophesying to us. And you know, the bishop got up and I'm like, no, don't interrupt now. I want to hear what's in store for us in the world here through this prophetess. But he kindly asked her to sit down. That lasted for 30 days until the next fast and testimony meeting. She did it again. She brought her washcloth out and sang, "Oh, we thank thee, O God, for a prophet," and began to prophesy again. I also learned that she did the same thing in Relief Society every week. She'd put her washcloth over her head and she'd do this. And this was her receiving mode of getting inspiration straight from the Lord.
I'm getting
So
chills.
that was that. I know, right? It's all tingly. That was my first introduction to the Memphis First Ward in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. More to come throughout the show.
There you go. Tim is overwhelmed with joy and glad tidings.
Right?
Tim is
Wow.
laughing because he used to do that.
You have a washcloth you use, Tim, or is it?
It's a hanky, a white hanky that he would go like this in the opposite
No, I
direction
had
with the other.
a yarmulke that I put on.
Well, there you go.
I had a yarmulke.
Did it have a little antenna on there?
Yeah, it had a
So
little antenna coming out.
right? Yeah, we all need to be able to receive our own wisdom straight from God for the other members of the church.
I've heard a lot of weird stories, but about fast and testimony, but that is the strangest I think I've ever heard or seen. Yeah, I gotta tell you. I had a cute time.
You
Well,
need another minute,
you know what's
Tim?
weird? You know what's
What's
kind of
weird?
crazy? It was this same fast and testimony meeting, the very same one, our first one, that a gentleman stood up from the audience, the congregation, and he bore his testimony. He had just been excommunicated, and come to find out, he had been part of the bishopric, and he had been excommunicated, and bore his testimony from the congregation, apologizing to the ward for, and he didn't tell us what he did, dang it, but apologizing to the ward for betraying them. And I mean, he was crying and everything. And that was in the same testimony meeting. So it's like, okay, I'm going to love this ward. This is going to be a good ward. And it did not disappoint.
Yeah. I hope someday I get to bear my testimony of my excommunication, but that's just a pipe dream.
We'd love that, Tim. Or I mean, we'd love that, Gene. I don't have my, wait a minute. Oh gosh. No wonder I couldn't speak right.
Oh no!
There we go. I'm ready.
Now we got a show.
Tim, do you need another minute? You want to hear from Diamond Dave first?
Sure. This is fun.
I
Tim
don't
may
even
need some
know.
oxygen.
I don't even know what the topic is, you guys. I was
strange
getting ready.
encounters of the
I was
Mormon
going to get
kind.
ready
So
for bed.
Oh.
anything that's strange that was interesting when you went to a meeting. It could be
Oh,
a
There
linger
was this
longer.
guy. I went to the mid singles ward in Provo. It's 8th Oak Hills. And like when I was going there, it's a few years ago, there was a guy who was a cop that was like arrested, and he was like talking about, being abused and assaulted in prison because he was a cop and he was busted for, doing, I don't remember what it was, honestly. But anyway, the missionaries at the time introduced me to the guy, thinking that we'd kind of like, we're a bit more of the outcast kind. They thought we'd get along great together. No, not at all. Because like they introduced me to him, and he just looks at me and goes, I don't want to be friends with you. And I'm like, cool, I don't want to be friends with you either. And then he asked me for a ride home in the same sentence. And I'm like, nah, dude, first of all, you are a cop. I'm not giving you a ride home ever. Second of all, you just said you didn't want to be my friend. So why would I give you a ride home? And then I told the missionaries, I'm like, dude, you should just kick him out of the ward. Like, I lobbied very hard for him he was like on, I don't even remember why, but he was like on a path to repentance or something because he was a law enforcement officer, committed a crime or multiple crimes, and was arrested and stripped of his title as a police officer, and then was going like some path of repentance in the church. So that was kind of like one of the more interesting encounters I had at the 8th Oak Hills ward in Provo, mid singles.
Dirty cop.
It was a test of your faith, Diamond.
Well, I know quite a few dirty cops, but none of them were like actually like like had an attitude like he did, which was kind of odd. Like, usually dirty cops I met are cool. He was just an asshole. So, I don't know. But
Wow.
You know, Gene, even though you've got that turd polish thing up, we can still see you eating your cereal or ice cream or oatmeal. You're not
yeah,
fooling anybody.
well, yeah. Why hide it? I was like eating a cookie on camera and just turn it into a mukbang.
It was beef stew.
Okay.
Okay, Tim, you ready?
Yeah, but well, okay. I was thinking about things that have happened during home teaching and tracting and then afterwards. Okay. The first time I went home teaching, I think I was a teacher, 14, right? Is that when you do it? I think.
I think that's when you begin home teaching, yes.
Yeah. And my dad wasn't active, so it was a member of the bishopric that took me. And I thought, oh, we're going to go visit some members. Well, the first guy came to the store smoking, didn't want to talk to us, told us to get the hell away. I thought, this is the first time I'd ever been home teaching. Okay. It was like, all right, okay. And then we had a guy in our ward. What? Go ahead, Randy.
You're just starting to get a taste of what it's like to go home teaching.
Yeah. I was just starting to get a taste of what it's like to go home teaching. And but the other ones after that were pretty decent. But that was my first. I mean, that was my very first experience home teaching. It was like, okay, what's going on here, Brother Hyam? Don't people want to see us? Well, not everybody. Okay. And then we had a guy in our ward who was just like your lady, except he didn't put a washcloth over his head. I can't get that image out of my mind now. And he used to not every fast and testimony meeting, but a lot of times he'd just get up and he'd ramble on and on and on. And they'd have to ask him to stop and go sit down. And that was really weird. That was just strange.
They needed one of those timers on the wall that starts blinking red when their time is up.
We didn't have a light. Now they have a light in the podium in the Westwood Ward Chapel. There was no light so that you blink to tell people to shut up. There wasn't a light. But he would get
that
out.
really exists? They really have those?
Yeah, we had it in the Hesperia ward. They had one with a light. They never used it on me. But yeah, they do exist.
Nice.
And then on my mission, we tracted out a whorehouse, 2 whorehouses, I think, if I remember right. Well, people sent us to them. They gave us an address where they lived. And we went there. It was a whorehouse. Oh. And
Texas
then we got this.
has a whorehouse in it. Lord have mercy on my soul.
What was in downtown Paderborn? We walked in. It was really nice. Wallpaper, all red and lacy and stuff. And I'm going, I think I know where we are. And then there was this guy. He was a returned missionary. And the bishop or the branch president gave us his address. We went to go check him out. And he was drinking, he had a little beer. In Germany, the beer comes in little bottles. He had a little beer bottle in his hand, talking about how he was on his mission and that his companion was screwing some sister in the ward and all this stuff that was going on while he was on a mission. What, huh?
Is that against the rules in Germany?
Well, he was a missionary in like South Carolina or somewhere in the South. And he came to Germany to get away from the church. And we found him. He was kind of pissed, but he understood because he had done the same thing on his mission. He says, I know why you guys are here. I don't want anything to do with the church, so don't bother me anymore. He says, fine, we'll leave you alone.
Well, I didn't realize that was against the rules. We had on my mission, we always had sex with the members. I thought that was our responsibility.
Oh, okay. All right. And then there was this one time when I was in Colorado Springs in the singles ward, and we had two men, and they were both relatives of general authorities. And so I can't remember the guy's name. Anyway, he was a good friend of mine. We went out, and he was in the Ellis Corn presidency with me. We went out and checked this guy out, and both these guys were gay, and they had gerbils. And you know the story about gerbils and Richard Gere? It's true. They told us what they did with the gerbils, that they put them at their butts. Really,
He actually told you that?
He actually told us that. He was playing with the gerbils while we were there. They were both playing with the gerbils. And they told us we didn't want anything to do with it. We said, all
Tim
right,
has all the fun.
I know. And then there was this one member that was a drug dealer that we found. Came up to his house, and they had cameras and everything all around, and looking at my friend playing, and I'm going, what in the world are we walking into? You know? And we knocked on the door. We told him who we were. And he says, I'm not interested, blah, 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 you know. And he says, see all the cameras around here? Yeah. Why do you think they're there? Because you don't want people to bother you? That's right. I don't want people to bother me. Then we found out later on that he was a drug dealer.
So you served your mission in Sodom and Gomorrah? Is that?
No, that was here in Hesperia. That happened.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I found out later on the guy was a drug dealer. It's like, you know, you get these addresses, you know, go check people out. And they hadn't been seen for years. But, you know, once a year, you're supposed to go, even you're supposed to go visit the do not contacts, even though they say do not contact. You know, we had a list of names we had to go check out. And this guy was just like, are you kidding me? I don't want to go in there.
I had an unusual experience while by the way, I am legally married now.
Congratulations.
Ring. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I had an I had an interesting experience. I never thought I would see it. So during the paperwork, we saw two Mormon missionaries in the north side of Ulaanbaatar here in Mongolia. I was not expecting to see any, and they stuck out like a sore thumb because, you know, they're walking down the sidewalk and traffic it's a fucking parking lot, right? So we're just sitting there and we see them walk by. Big, you know, tall, white, blonde dude next to a clean-cut Mongolian dude. Here's the interesting thing. Both of them, you could easily see the garments. But here's what caught me off guard. They wore, you know, the suit and ties, except they didn't have the over jackets on. They still had the ties, but their shirts were like a deep, dark blue, not a white.
Wow.
What?
So they were walking around in like these blue t-shirts with ties. And you could see the garments
underneath
through them.
were deep dark blue?
No, so like like my t-shirt now would be a deep dark like professional blue with a tie on it, right? There's just no overcoat. But underneath you could still see like the hemlines of the garments. That threw me off. I don't know why it was blue, but they also didn't have name tags on either. And I'm wondering if that has to do with Mongolian law, where they're not allowed to proselyte.
Well, we didn't have name tags in my mission either.
You didn't? Okay.
The only time we wore them, it just had our name on it, was at conference when you went to mission zone conference or mission conference. You'd put it on.
Interesting. Because you
But
see, like, I've seen a lot of missionaries like just on Facebook and like even just going around in like Utah or Minnesota or whatever. They'll wear their name tags when they're out like tracting or whatever, but they don't have name tags here for some reason.
Yeah, that must be a new thing since the 80s, 70s or 80s when they started to do that.
Yeah.
Make them wear
You know, I
name
kind of
Thank you,
wish
tags.
we
guys, by the
hadn't
way.
have had name tags. Because with the last name of Watts, there's no because I went to Spain. There's no Spanish word that starts with W. So they look at my name and say, ooh, Quats? Quats? Ooh, Quats? And so I finally just changed my, and what I'd introduce myself to people as vatios, which is how you say watts in Spanish, like electricity, vatios. And that worked out a
Well,
lot better. I tried to get a name tag that said Elder Batios,
but yes.
but the mission president wouldn't go for that.
Well, you should hear the Germans try to say rathbone. They can't pronounce the hard R because they roll their R's. They have trouble with that. Oh, there was something else.
So my wife reminded
Gene?
me that when we were kids, she would have been about 10 and I was maybe 14. The deacons and teachers had passed the sacrament, and we left the area, and we would go to a cry room, and our building had like above the last row of the chapel was a cry room that had like windows with
Right.
double pane, so you couldn't hear the baby's crying. So if baby's crying or baby needs to be nursed, that was the place to go. Now, most women didn't nurse. They used some other room so they can close the door and stuff and not have the whole long pew aisle, basically. But and plus the kids would go up there, right? So we knew it was like
And you, Gene,
and so and
you
we're
went
just
up there, right?
yeah. So we're just talking about school, just how are things going, whatever, just talking kid stuff, and we're not listening, we're not paying attention to the sacrament meeting, and a lot of times, like a husband and wife will talk as the main speakers, right? So this lady's talking. I think her son might have even been up with us, but she starts talking about some story about how when she was going to get baptized or something like that, and then just some darkness came over here, and it was like an evil spirit, and then she shouts, and it was the devil, and we're like all going like, what? Somebody just, and she's screaming like into the mic, like it was really happening at the same time, and everybody's eyes went like really wide, like is the devil here now? Because we weren't paying attention, right? We went to go look to see if the devil was in the aisles or something like that, right, or something. So it was just so bizarre, and she was like halfway screamed, and I guess the bishop they were like not inactive, but not as active, and so the bishop was probably going to let her just say her piece and not try to offend her, right? But it was very memorable. It was so memorable. Michelle said I had
Somebody's knocking.
share that experience about Sister Sanchez. Rocked our world for sure.
Was it actually the devil, or was it just a gerbil up her butt?
I have no photos to prove one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
They're very similar experiences, from what I understand.
That's right.
I've heard.
Not that you've had both to compare.
We, on my mission, speaking of the devil, I had several experiences with evil spirits, because the first town that I was in was Santiago de Compostela in Spain. And the town was shut down after it was my first area. So of course, always the newcomer. And we were out knocking on doors, and we were going up the apartment, the different pisos on the apartments, and got up and knocked on this door. I guess it was about the third floor. And this very, very large woman answered the door. And I remember her eyebrows were kind of like in a V shape. And she looked at us and she said, "Ah, elders." And I said, "Yes. Do you speak English?" "No." But I said, in Spanish then, I said, "Yes, we're elders from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. May we come? Is your husband at home?" And "Yes." "May we come in and deliver a message to you?" "Yes." And she was just way too enthusiastic. So we walked in and she showed us to the couch where we should sit and we started in on our charlas, on our discussions. And my companion was the one that started. And I noticed as he said, "We have a message from Jesus Christ," her eyes got really big and she kind of jerked like she'd been shocked. And the first flip chart, it talks about Joseph Smith shows the restoration stuff. And he says, and we believe that our gospel is the restored Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And when he flipped to the picture of Jesus Christ in the white robe, and all the legions of angels behind him and the clouds and everything, I could see her breathing really hard as she was leading up to this. And then she grabbed the arms of her chair and started screaming, and her face turned bright red. And she's like, "No," in this voice that did not belong to a woman. She said, "No." And she jumped up. Now I'm looking over at the husband suddenly because I'm like, what is happening here? And I felt that horrible feeling that I have felt before when there's evil spirits in the room. And she runs to the wall and she's just scratching it with her fingernails and moaning and groaning and gurgling sounds coming out. And my companion and I didn't even have time to really think. It's like when you have to do CPR on someone, you don't think about, oh, should we do CPR? We both jumped up and ran over to her, and the husband is just sitting there very mousy. He was just a little guy, and he's just sitting there watching like he's nervous. And I said, "We need to give your wife a blessing, can we?" And he's like, of course I said it in Spanish. But anyway, so each of us grabbed an arm and we pulled her back and we sat her down in this chair, and she felt like she was rock hard. This body that should not have been hard was rock hard. And we sat her down, and I looked at my companion, who was the senior companion. I was new. And, I kind of gave him the nod to give the blessing. And as he's trying to put his hands on her head, she's writhing and moaning and gurgling. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to die. This is my first month in the mission. I'm going to die here. And he says, during the blessing, he says, "In the name of Jesus Christ and by the power of the Holy Melchizedek priesthood, which we have, we command that the evil depart this body." And she's like, she gasps in and she's quivering and shaking. And he says, "And we ask the Spirit of Jesus Christ to enter in." And she just, and she collapsed and her head went down. And I looked at my companion. My companion looked at me. I said, "Estás bien? Are you okay?" And she just looked at me, and I said, "We're out of here." And we dropped a pamphlet so that our visit was not for nothing. And we bolted out of that apartment. And we were totally silent for the first couple of minutes as we walked towards our home. And I said, "We just performed an exorcism." He says, "Yep, we sure did." And I say these things humbly because it scared the crap out of me. But yes.
You were exercised.
Now, okay, I had a similar experience, but it was a little different. Okay, we were on a door, and We're on the top floor of this apartment building, and there was a mother, a mother and a father, a daughter and a son. I guess it was a daughter-in-law and their son. And the old man went down to the basement to get something. They were both the guys were arguing with the men were arguing with us, and then he went downstairs down to the basement to get something from the cellar. Yeah, and my companion and this guy kept arguing. They were kind of yelling at each other. And I said, stop it. In English, I said to my companion, stop it, Elder Carroll. Stop, you know. And I raised my arm to the square. And in English, I commanded, him to leave. And he did leave. And I said it in English. And we're speaking German, remember, And he did. He left and he went back to the apartment. And we just talked to the women, having a nice conversation, and then I could feel the spirit change, and the guy was coming up in the elevator, and I said, we got to get out of here. And he came and he stepped out of the elevator, and he was already yelling and arguing with us, and the sun came out and they were yelling and arguing with us and stuff. They closed the door, and Elder Carroll was yelling through the door jamb at them for like 5 minutes. I had to literally pull him away from the door, and it was a Monday night. We'd just done our P day, and I said, come on, we're going back to the apartment. I grabbed him. I said, we're going on our bikes, going back to the apartment. No, what just happened, and why did you do what you did? I talked to him, I said, we don't do that shit. We don't do that stuff, man.
Wow.
We're supposed to be nice. He says, well, I don't know what overcame me. I said, the spirit of contention overcame you, and you just wanted to contend. I didn't want to contend. Did you hear at all what I did or said? He says, no, he was totally unaware. He was so focused on arguing with them.
He was in a kick-ass mood.
He was in a kick-ass mood. Yeah. And I just said, out, oh, strange.
Well, to lighten the mood just a tad,
Okay.
this first branch that I was in, our first our first sacrament meeting, I learned that not every branch has little paper sacrament cups that you can use. They would just fill a glass of water and then pass it around, and everyone would just take a little sip out of it. I feel like we were talking about this, Tim, because I was saying
We
something.
talked about this.
Saying, yeah. And we would always, as elders, would try to be first, because after the kids chewed up the bread and then they'd take a drink out of the glass, it would leave white breadcrumbs in this glass. It was enough to gag a maggot, I'm telling you. I'm pretty brave, but to drink after people who spit their bread into the water, and yeah, that was horrible. And we never got those little cups. We had to, the little sacrament cup things. So what were we supposed to do after sacrament? Because I'd always keep my cup and spread it out into a round piece of paper and tear things out and
or
you have to do
draw on
something
them.
with your time.
yes.
They're like little treasures, right? To these things that we can spread apart, and you ever try to like put them back together and say, how do they do it?
Fold them back. Yeah, anything to pass time.
That reminds me
And this
that when I was just before I was old enough to pass the sacrament, this is a story I heard, because I didn't partake, but I heard of it because I had two older brothers, that some of the we'll say less than Joseph Smith like teachers in the teachers quorum, it was their assignment to prepare the sacrament, and so they thought they would pull the wool over some people. So they brought inside their jacket like a little bit of 7-Up from a plastic bottle or something, and one of the trays had 7-Up in it. And apparently the tray went to the bishop, right? Took a sip, is like those guys, the bishop had one of those gonna have to give another talk to the teachers quorum members, and so Hooray. Jules was able to solve some problems. Jules, mute yourself until you.
Jules, how are you?
I'm doing great.
We have white noise.
The I guess the aliens didn't want me to talk tonight. I'm here in New Mexico.
See if you can go back.
It sounds like there's a big fan.
Yeah,
blowing
my
right
AC
into
is
your
horrible.
microphone.
Yeah, this AC is horrible out here.
Well, go ahead, Jules, and just tell us your story.
Well, mine, I believe I said it on my original podcast, but when I was out in Florida, I saw something one night, and it was triangular, 3 lights on the bottom. When I went to work, my friend and I had already, my coworker and I had already talked about having seen aliens in the past, and what happened is she and I decided to draw what we had seen, and then we handed it to each other, and we put it face down, just to make it fair. And as I got hers and she got mine, we turned it face up. And she had seen hers in Colorado. I saw mine in Florida. And sure enough, it was the same thing we had drawn.
See?
Yeah, and Jules, we're actually talking about funny things that happen like at church. Strange
At
things
church?
that happen at a Mormon church. And go
Okay.
ahead and mute
But I
yourself.
understand. Because of the name of the show, Encounters of the
Okay.
Mormon
Yes, strange.
Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh,
right.
strange things at the church. I have too many to list, actually.
Do tell.
So Jules, go back out and come back in and see if your sound gets better.
Okay. Let's see. Let me.
Okay.
Okay.
I
That was
thought
one
that
hell of
people might
feedback.
misinterpret that title.
That was her air conditioning, just like we have the same problem here sometimes, my air conditioning.
Yeah, I wonder if she has either headphones or what do you call the things that go in your ears?
Earbuds.
Earbuds.
Earbuds? Okay.
Yeah, try earbuds. I'm gonna put you on mute until
Go
point
for
two.
it.
Yeah.
And so there was one other sort of lighthearted story I can share real quick, and I'll bring on Ryan Silver real quick to say hi. But in the sports program, you'd have non-members as part of your teams. There could only be a certain amount of non-members, and they had to go to sacrament meeting once a month in order to still qualify to play. So we had the neighborhood legend on our team, and he was the guy that was like never ever would be a Mormon. He was like had sex with all the girls that he could have. He swore all the time. He was like the Fonz in a way for the neighborhood. We go to church and we were in the overflow, so the back doors can open, and then we're sitting on just hard chairs, and we're just trying to be as quiet as possible. They're passing the sacrament. Everybody's doing their best to pass us to be quiet. And this 3-year-old kid, this boy, lets out the loudest echoey fart on his wooden chair, fold-up chair, in the cultural hall with all the echoes. And our friend just couldn't help, but he just busted out laughing. It was the funniest thing he ever saw in real life. And so, hi Ryan, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Been a little while.
Ryan is a
Good to see
famous TikToker.
Not so much. I haven't even been on there lately at all.
A formerly famous TikToker.
I get on there and rant and rave sometimes. That's about it. I'm looking at the church actually right across from my house where they tore the steeple down. That was a TikTok I made. Yeah, they're redoing the roof and stuff, but they tore the steeple down, like the one that was actually detached from the building. So I don't know exactly what's going on with that.
Wow.
Maybe
Kinda
it
weird.
wasn't high enough.
That's exactly what I said in my TikTok.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
It
but
wasn't
wasn't as
holy
erect
enough.
as it wanted to be.
Are people going? Are people going for temple stones? Are they going for that?
I don't think so. It's an old like 70s church style where it would
Oh,
just be like brick on the side of your house, basically.
gotcha. So in Provo, the temple right next to my ward, the really unique like birthday cake one, they
Yeah.
tore that down, and they
Yeah.
were having issues with people, like jumping the fence and trying to get like steel temple stones. Like the police were out there, and like there's like a few people in ward radio that were coordinating like back in the day, because I talked about it, a bunch of other people talked about it, like let's go get some temple rocks, and like everyone's like hopping the fence to like, you know.
So there's kidney stones and tonsil stones and now temple stones.
Temple rocks. Yeah, I personally don't get the hype behind it, but I guess there's other people
Well,
that aren't
didn't
that.
President
Well-
Nelson start that fad? Didn't he kind of tear the Salt Lake Temple to pieces to get his piece of granite for his headstone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
somebody started it somewhere, so now it's
Well,
a thing.
when the church puts new furniture in the temples, they burn it all. They
Mhm.
burn their carpet. They destroy everything that was in there, so nobody can use it for repurpose it. So it's just a waste, and so they don't
When
want
you
people
say
to get
nobody, you mean new name Noah.
new name. Okay, new name Noah. Or when they don't want anyone to have anything to do with the temple. So when they went to go temple stones, they don't want anybody to have a piece of that thing.
That's right. It's really difficult to pass a temple stone, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's really hard.
I want one of those freaking oxen. Actually, I want two of them, one on each side of my door.
Thought you were going to say one humping the other one.
I guess that's kind of an interesting story. You mentioned that it was my great grandpa's silver, because my last name's Silver. It's the Silver Brothers company that made those oxen back in the day.
Oh
So,
wow!
Really?
yeah, it's pretty neat. And then my grandpa moved to Ogden area and started the Ogden Iron Works, but that kind of went bankrupt as soon as when he passed away when I was young. So, but yeah, it's kind of cool history. We all got cool history, but I just wanted to share a quick story. I have a couple, but
just a second, Ryan.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
just have to say, for your relatives that had the oxen factory,
Mhm.
they could probably work on Sunday and say it's okay. The ox is in the mire. But go ahead.
Oh, geez, here
I
we
do.
go.
Ooh,
I knew there was one coming from him.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so I shared a couple just in the chat, but is when I was younger, we would get the keys to the basketball court late at on the weekends, and late at night we kind of go down in the basement and where the broiler was and try to find tunnels and shimmy through access little tunnels for pipes, because I live next door to junior high too, and everybody said, sorry, it's getting windy out here. I don't know if you guys are hearing that, but there was a rumor that it went all the way to the junior high. So yeah, we couldn't find it. But anyway, the one I wanted to share was actually my mom's that she told me, and it's nothing like horrible, but it was just kind of concerning. So she plays the organ and piano, and sometimes she would go over and practice early in the morning when no one's there, like on Saturday. And she had a dream that she was in there by herself, and a bunch of guys in black trench coats came in and like shot up the place. So after that, she never like wanted to go to the inside the church by herself. I'm like, it's not a very comforting place to, you know, be scared of. But anyway, that wasn't super crazy, but I just thought it was a really strange.
that's
Maybe
weird.
maybe it's telling her to get the hell out of there.
I don't think that's crazy at all because churches scare the hell out of me. I would
Yeah.
rather walk through an old funeral home from the front door to the back door alone in the dark than go into an LDS church. I don't know what it is, but they creep me out.
Well, when
Be
I
in a
used to
church
go
alone.
there to do stuff on the computer, there was always something, a presence I felt, or something would happen. I'd hear a noise and wonder what it was. So I get it,
See?
Randy.
Yeah, they're scary ass.
They're
Yes.
scary. Yeah, I remember getting freaked out even walking through the chapel, because sometimes you had to walk to the chapel and go.
Because that's where the casket always sits when they have funerals, and that's all I could think of when I was younger, in the priest quorum and stuff. If I had to go into the church alone, I don't know why I did, but there were a couple of times where me and my friend had to go in and lock up for the bishop. It just scares. Yeah. By the way, funeral homes are scary ass too. Don't get me wrong. But churches are the ultimate scary to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. It's creepy stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But
So-
anyway, that was my quick story. Nothing too crazy.
Thanks,
But I
Ryan,
thought
for coming
thought it
on.
was relatable, I guess.
It is
Yeah.
relatable.
Yes, sir.
Ryan talks about playing basketball late at night with the keys at the church, and we used to do that as well. I think
Yeah.
we went on like Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve and all kinds of times because nobody cared about it back then. Now there's all kinds of like you have to do like thumbprint and a scan and
Yeah.
permission
A
to
key
get
fob
in, key
and all
fob
sorts of
Scanner.
and
Yep.
all that stuff. So-
Double tithing. You pay a little extra
Re-
and they'll slip you the keys for a basketball game.
Retina scan and eye scan, retina scan and hand scan.
Mhm.
Right.
Blood test.
So we
Right.
have Zion's Redemption Radio Network joining the chat, and it's nice to see a new person in the chat. And so if you're
I knew.
if you would like to be interviewed, Randy and I would like to interview you for Ladder Daily Digest. Just click on the somehow you can get a hold of us. I'm Gene Judson. Randy's Randy Watts, and we do the whole Mormon spectrum. If it's faithful or not, we don't really care. We like creators, and so let us know if you want to come in on that.
He's been here 5 minutes and already he's trying
I
to
know.
get an interview.
It's not like I'm hurting for shows. Natasha Helper's coming this week. We interviewed Natasha Helper.
You need to get Julie Hanks too soon.
I've already interviewed Julia Hanks.
Again, you need to get her again now that she's left the church.
Okay. Jules, I think that your fan is causing the echo.
My causing my noise.
Yeah, so I wonder if you turn off the fan just for a second and say.
Okay, let me go turn it off. But my
There's
AC
also
may come on.
feedback.
Yeah, because I'm wondering if the feedback is caused because of the fan being on there.
No, the feedback caused from the way
That got a lot better, but
That got a lot better,
can
but
still.
So
Okay.
Jules,
Feedback.
before you sweat to death, go ahead and tell us some fantastic story of something interesting that happened in church.
Oh, I won't sweat to death. That was earlier. Actually, I thought of a pretty good one, and it was brought up in like a testimony meeting because they did the youth program one time. Someone went to film it, and it was in the chapel, obviously, and they say you shouldn't film in the chapel. And this was one of my best friend's wife, and then when she went to play it at home, there was nothing on camera. So,
Ooh.
What?
yeah. The whole
How
recording.
richly bizarre.
Yeah.
Was he sure that the camera was working and recording?
Yeah, it was recording fine. They tested it afterwards and everything, even beforehand.
See, that's ghost shit right there.
No shit.
Hey, Diamond Dave, do you have any tips, since you're the youngest person here, on how to help Jules with the echo and feedback? What settings to do? Thanks,
it
Ryan,
could be
for
a-
coming on.
It could be a
Thanks,
variety
Ryan.
of things. It could be multiple cameras. I'm hearing an echo.
You're
Yeah.
hearing me?
There's
You're
an
hearing
echo.
me? Because I've got my mic set up here an external mic, and I kind of moved.
I just clicked echo cancellation. We'll
That's
see if that
good.
works. Yeah, so
That
I just
worked.
clicked echo cancellation, and that seemed to be better.
That fixed it.
All right.
Although I did kind of like to hear my own voice, to
Yeah.
hear what I sound like.
So echo cancellation would be what on the settings?
So yeah, so in the three dots next to your name, if you click on that, you can see the settings. It has a couple other settings too, but it's working so far.
Okay.
It works good now.
Yeah, it seems like it got fixed.
Okay. Sounds good. Now you guys are lucky it wasn't when my dog was barking earlier. He was having some doubts about the stream, I think. His name is Thomas.
Brother Jones. Where in the world are you right now, Brother Jones?
For the time being, I'm at home.
Oh, nice.
But not for long. Yeah. Anyway, how you guys doing? I'm sorry I'm late, but I had
You're fine.
stuff to do.
We got the audience warmed up for you, so
Yeah. Well,
fire when you're ready.
All right. Well, I was talking to Tim the other day, and I said, he told me the subject of tonight's gathering, and I thought immediately I had an interesting story about a church disciplinary council. Again, I will be somewhat discreet because I don't want to reveal anybody's names or anything. This is more than 20 years ago. In my locale, and in my positions at the time, positions with an S, I sat on four disciplinary councils. And if I remember right, 2 were to excommunicate somebody and 2 were to end church discipline. And the funny thing is, back then, a disciplinary council to end church discipline was still called a disciplinary council. Okay. So anyway, I was tasked with actually delivering the letter to this person. And I remember briefly the conversation, and he was kind of, well, I wouldn't say he was surprised, but I delivered the letter from the window of my car on a busy street in this metropolis, right? He came out, I handed it to him. And in fact, I remember it took me 2 hours to get home after delivering this letter. And literally, it's like less than a mile from home. Again, this is about 22, 23 years ago, something like that. Well,
Why
anyway,
did it take so long?
Traffic, just bad traffic. It was bad time of day.
Gotcha.
It was not a smart thing. Anyway, I had learned a few days earlier, surprisingly, that this person had been excommunicated, probably a year or two before. I don't know when. And I was actually quite kind of shocked to hear this news because this person in my locale was a bit of a celebrity. Like everybody in the church would have known of him here. But he then left the country, was gone for several years, and he was coming back to do business. But I kind of think, anyway, I don't want to speculate too much. Anyway, the gist of my story is that when the disciplinary council was held, I want to preface this by all 4 of these councils that I sat on, not a single one of them followed the normal protocol, which I learned about later. Like this 6 on one side, 6 on the other side, that never happened, not a single time. Basically, the stake president just asked for comments from everybody, and then they went in and made a decision. That's how it happened. There was never like defending six prosecuting or whatever. That never happened. In fact, I never even read about that. But anyway, in this particular case, the gentleman comes in. I've given it away as a man. Naturally, I mean, like 95% of them are men, right? And fortunately, this was mostly done in English because he's not from this country. And I was a little bit surprised at the time that all of the people in this meeting knew this person, like knew him probably very well. However, as far as I know, none of them knew what he had done to be excommunicated. Nobody knew. In fact, I'm not sure that I knew at the time. I might have known. I think the stake president let it slip to me, something like that. What had caused his excommunication, which was back. We'll just say it was back in America. Was what happened. So he comes in. You know, it's kind of a cry fest. He bears his testimony. He's got his quad on his knee, and there was really no discussion. It was like, I really want to be in the church, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. There was no discussion. Not a single word was said during this meeting, which might have lasted 30 minutes. I don't remember. But not a single word was ever said about what caused him to be excommunicated. And we were supposed to be like there deciding, should we end his excommunication? Should we readmit him back into the church? And I remember asking a friend back in the States, back at the time this person was on the stake presidency, in a stake presidency. I said, you know, when somebody's having their discipline end, do they not like discuss what happened to decide if he's ready? And he says, it seems to me that how could you decide if somebody should be readmitted if you don't even discuss what happened? But that's exactly what happened where I was. And of course, he was readmitted, and then he flew to even another country and was rebaptized probably within a week or two. I don't really know. But anyway, it was one of those very strange experiences in the church where I thought, you know, in some locations, they're just making it up. They're just making it up. In some locations, local leaders really do have full control or full say of what exactly goes on, because there's a lot of stuff that's just like swept under the rug and like, just ignore it, don't worry about it, and just go on with your life. Which honestly might be how it should be anyway. So that's my story, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you.
Wait, time out. Did you ever find out what it was that he did?
I did find out. I'm trying to remember if I found out before or after. And frankly, it was pretty surprising. It was pretty surprising. It was not apostasy. Yeah, let's just say that this man held some secrets in his life that very few people know about. And I'll just say that. Yeah. But clearly it was something he would have been excommunicated for in America. In Thailand, he probably would have been excommunicated. Yeah. Let me just put it this way. There was another council held, and I've told this privately to a few friends, this story, where I was translating for some foreigners on the council. And the guy telling his story about what he did, I was like really reaching deep to be like polite about what he was telling happened. I mean, it involved like prostitutes and stuff like that, and it was like I was like learning words I'd never heard, right? And anyway, everything's okay now with him anyway. But yeah, I had some very strange experiences on the High Council 20 years ago that might have been some early shelf items. In fact, I'll add this since we can tag this as an Elder Oaks story. I was a executive secretary in a stake presidency, and Elder Oaks came to visit Thailand right before he left the Philippines. If some of you may remember that Elder Oaks went to the Philippines for 2 years, Elder Holland went to Chile for 2 years. Nobody knew what they were doing there. Okay, we know now that they were closing dozens and dozens of stakes because it was all just a chaos. Anyway, he came to a stake presidency meeting, so it's like I'm not even sure all the counselors could make it that night. I can't even remember. And I remember him telling the stake presidency how good his stake was doing. Like, you've got a really good stake and things are going well here. I was like dumbfounded. I was like, if this is like a stake running well, I would not want to see what it's like a stake that's not running well. Of course, at the time, I had no idea that he was in the Philippines cleaning up a huge mess.
Wow.
Anyway, that was, I remember thinking to myself, how could this stake be like a good little stake running in? I was just like, whoa.
Everything's relative.
By the way, he was like an hour late to the meeting because of traffic. So anyway, that's my story for now. I've kept it anonymous enough.
There you go.
So what are you
Everything's
saying,
relative.
Brother Jones? We're going to go to bed tonight. I'm going to go to bed tonight, and I'm going to be thinking, what in the hell did that guy do? What did he do? Because if Tim can tell us about the gerbils, now I'm thinking maybe he was
It's worse
one of
than
the
gerbils.
guys that was showing off his gerbils. But
Maybe it
hey,
puts gerbils to shame.
We can discuss it in the after show.
Exactly. There you go. After show.
We'll keep it anonymous until then in the after show, because we don't want to throw any aspersions on these people, because they may see this someday and they know about it. So
Right.
We'll talk about
I
that.
mean, yeah, there's no reason to out this person. I mean,
no,
there's really not.
They-
But
they
I will
repented
say-
and they're back in the church. So
right, I will simply say that for a true believer, when you learn of somebody high in the church or somebody you had high respect for, you learn of like horrifying things. Like, how is that possible? You realize that, it's like everybody has a dark side. Everybody has a secret life, some degree or another.
yes, it's like when I taught many years ago when I was investigating fundamentalists, I talked to Rhea Coons. She was a very famous fundamentalist woman, female, and she'd been married, fundamentalist, polygamous wife 2 or 3 times. She was at Shark Creek when it got raided. She went through that whole experience. She shared it with me. And she told me, and this is at the time, she lived in Draper, that she knew of 30 men who were still in the church who were practicing polygamy in the Salt Lake Valley. Because everybody basically comes to Rhea to get hooked up with one of the groups who'll do the ceremony for them. But she says she knows of at least 30, and this is like 80-45 time frame, that she knows of at least 30 men, and some of them she claimed were general authorities. And I don't doubt her at all.
Yeah, on that thread, Tim, I don't know if you talked earlier at all about the recent Mormon Stories interview of this Laurel Hell.
No, not yet. I got to listen to that still.
Well, we discussed it behind on our private call, but that story was extremely interesting to me because I'm also from California, and to learn that there are like secret polygamists in this wealthy suburban like tech community, Los Gatos, California. I mean, like, it just blows my mind that this kind of stuff can go on at these levels of the church. Now, remember, what did Holland say the Strengthening Church Members Committee was actually for? Remember what he said? Primarily to protect against polygamy. Okay.
Right.
which maybe means there's a bigger problem than we all know. Okay. And they've managed to keep this quiet for decades.
That wouldn't surprise me at all if that was the case. And not even just from like the polygamy from a Mormon angle. I used to work in banking. I hear a lot about parties that happen in corporate banking. Parties. And yeah, so if that's happening outside of the church, like these exclusive adult parties, swingers clubs in banking or in finance or in marketing or in sales teams, again, it's happening in the church. It's happening in the church.
Big love, baby. Big love.
Probably more so. Probably more so.
Well, we talked about the possibility of the house up the canyon that the general authorities use for sex parties that may or may not be real. But there's a video out there about Gordon Hinckley talking about it on YouTube.
Give us the address of that sex party house.
P. Diddy Canyon.
You don't have to be precise.
Find it. I'll put it in.
Well, isn't there polyamory now too that they say?
Probably.
Yeah.
Polyamory. Yeah.
I'm into soft Mormonism.
Yeah.
Gene's
So
jokes.
Drace
Oh my God.
Schneider wants to know what the topic is. Randy, you want to filter what I said the topic is?
Gerbils.
The topic is strange encounters you've had with people in the church or during sacrament meetings or testimony meetings or on a mission or just in passing, crazy ass experiences that you may have had that is somehow connected to the church. What's harder to think of?
I have another one. This will interest you guys. This just happened about 2 months ago. Yeah, about 2 months ago. I ran into a guy on the street. I'm out on a walk. I'm walking home, and I run into this guy who had just gotten to Bangkok a week, like 3 or 4 days before. He's taking photographs. He's like loving it. He's like, man, this is so awesome. I love it. I love it. So he walks with me about 10 minutes, and we stop and we start talking, and I'm like filling him in. He's from Oregon. And he said, I just sold everything at home, and I think he said, I don't know if he went through a divorce, I can't remember, but he said, I'm moving to Asia. I just said, I'm leaving America behind or whatever. Comes to Asia. So I literally am talking there with him. We're having this great conversation. We exchange numbers on his phone, and we make an appointment for the next morning to meet up. Oh, and during this conversation, he says, like, what brought you over here? And I kind of shake my head and say, well, long time ago, I came over here as a missionary, for the LDS Church. And he was like, really? He's like, I was a member too. He went on a mission. In fact, he went, I forget where he went. So we had this like great connection. He's a couple of years older than me. And we agreed to meet up the next morning not far away. And I was going to just fill him in more on like how to get around and just do stuff in this part of the country. Totally ghost me. Would not respond to my calls, would not respond to my texts, never heard from him again. And I thought to myself, how do you have faith in humanity when you have this great conversation, make an appointment, and he doesn't even show up? I don't understand. I totally don't understand it.
Let me clarify it for you, Brother Jones. I received revelation. Let me just put my wash rag on my head here.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That was one of the 3 Nephites.
Okay.
And he was just testing you to see if you would talk about your mission.
Okay.
I knew it.
I've got my seer stone.
Yep.
Okay. I put a link to Gene. I put a link to that video in the Facebook chat, so you can put it in the YouTube chat and people can go see it.
What video, Tim?
About Gordon B. Hinckley and his secret life.
Oh. I'm like, I thought you had Brother Jones's encounter with that guy on video. It's like,
No.
No. Could be a ghost. Is the guy even alive?
could be.
Do we know?
Who?
Like, I've
That
had
he's-
one.
wait,
I've
which-
had one
which guy?
instance like that. Oh, the guy Brother Jones was talking about, and I got to ask because I've had one situation, only one in my
Well-
whole life, where that's ever happened. Because I thought someone ghosted me. Turns out he got shot, and that's why I never heard from him again. Was because he was shot
Wow.
and killed.
He literally
That's what I'm like.
ghosted
Is he
you.
still alive? Like, did he get hit by a bus? Like, who knows?
We were literally going to meet up 12 hours later at the market, and never heard from him again. And we had this great conversation. Like, he was totally happy to meet me, and it just disappeared. Strange.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
Little spooky. Yep. I know that Gene thinks he's being sneaky, but he's going to get seconds on his beef stew.
Gene, I put the link to that video about Hinckley in our Facebook chat, so you can put it in the YouTube chat.
You know,
I'll go check it out.
I was talking about my first visit to the ward in Memphis, Tennessee, and how weird the fast and testimony meeting was. This just occurred to me when my family and I, because we were in an extremely poor ward, and I was doing okay at the time. I was managing the Peabody Hotel there in Memphis, Tennessee. And so my family and I, we went to present ourselves to the ward for the first time. And meeting us at the door was this guy named Malcolm, just a really tall, lanky, sweet African-American kid. I guess he was in his mid-teens, maybe later teens. And he stuck his hand out. And when he stuck his hand out like this, I could tell that he was neurodivergent, that there was something going on, you know. And I said, "Hi, I'm Randy, and this is my family." And he's like, "Hi, where's your car?" And I said, "I'm sorry, what's your name?" He said, "Malcolm, where's your car?" And I said, "Well, it's that car you see over there, the pickup truck." He's like, "Oh, okay." And we went on in. As the bishop came up to greet us after the meeting, he said, "Did Malcolm greet you when you got here?" And I said, "Yeah, what a sweet kid." He said, "Yeah, did he ask about your car?" And I said, "Yes." Well, we found out that Malcolm, his favorite thing to do while everyone was in sacrament meeting, especially on Fast Sunday, but I don't think he realized, that it was Fast Sunday, but he would go through all the cars and see if anyone had prepared food for their classes. And then he'd just eat it. He'd eat it all. He'd eat, if there was a big plate of cupcakes, he'd sit there and eat all of them. So we decided we'd start having a little baking project before each meeting on Sunday, except for Fast Sunday. We probably did Fast Sunday too, but we always left some cupcakes in our car so that he could break in, and we'd always find these crumbs laying all over, and I'd say to him, "Malcolm, did you eat those refreshments in my truck?" He'd say, "Yeah."
Oh boy.
Anyway, that's fun. That was a fun story.
Well, at least he didn't just take the lick out of it and leave it there for you.
Right?
Give you a lesson in, being clean.
Every ward needs a Malcolm. Yeah, he was just a
don't
pure
know.
soul. But
I don't think
I
so.
don't know about that. I don't know if every ward needs someone breaking into cars. Like,
well,
No.
but he didn't know. He didn't know that what he was doing was wrong.
Yes, he did.
He-
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, there's like
Well, did
breaking
you
into
catch the
someone's
part
car.
about? Now, don't make me defend Malcolm. Did you catch the part about him being neurodivergent? He
That's
was.
I'm neurodivergent too, but if I was breaking into your car, I'm pretty sure you'd arrest me. You were a cop, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, but let's get this
Like,
straight. It's not like
right.
he had a. It's not like he had a blackjack that he was going in, popping locks with or prying
that's
with a
like
knife to unlock it. He would
that's
just
like
check to
the
see if they were locked or unlocked.
that's like
Oh,
the
okay.
that's like the guy who didn't like me in the singles ward and would push the mirrors of my rabbit in. Every Sunday I'd come out to my car and this guy had pushed the mirrors of my rabbit in, the outside mirrors. He'd push them in. And I said, "Who's doing this? Do you know who's doing it?" And they told me he did it. And I said, "Why do you do that?" "Because I'm jealous of you." I said, "Why are you jealous of me?" "Because all the girls are going out with." And I said, "You can ask them too." "Oh, that's another story." Oh, I forgot about this. There was this guy named Charlie Sakai. He was the librarian at the Air Force Academy Library. And nobody would date him. And he got up and fastened testimony berating the women to date him. They need to date him. He was really going after the women for not wanting to date him. And I got up right afterwards and I said something. You don't have the place to do it. And the bishop branch president got up right after me and says, "I agree with what Brother Rathbone. That's just not the place or the time. We want you all to forget about what he says. Just push it away." Yeah, that was a wild one.
Yeah, that was probably a good way to score chicks is get up in sacrament meeting and complain about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'll never forget. I forgot.
Another one I saw was the grandmother that got up and was saying how her grandson had been made fun of by the young men because he tended to be more feminine, and like she got up and gave a lecture during fasting testimony to the whole ward, and saying that if he ended up committing suicide because like his father had, that it was going to be on us. And it was just, it was a long testimony that they had to pull her down from the stand.
Thanks,
Wow.
Grandma.
So there was a story that similar to the same group of boys that did these 7-Up in the sacrament cups. Apparently, the Sunday school president was like 6'8", and back in the day, we would have Sunday school opening exercises, right? So
Right.
these boys knew that this tall Sunday school president was going to be conducting that day, and we would have a podium that would electrically rise and
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and people who raise it up
That's the
just
bishop.
assume that it's going to stop at some point. So there's these pegs that they took out, they removed it. So whoever was the counselor was like making the podium go up. It kept on going, and then it fell off.
We had one where the belt broke. They were leaning on the podium and the belt broke and it went down. The opposite of oh, brother.
So
has something ever struck you funny in sacrament meeting and you couldn't stop laughing? My best friend and I were up to bless the sacrament, and there's 3 of us up there, and we were all 3 best friends. And he took the bread when it was his turn to take a piece, and he leaned over and he says, "Do you have any mayonnaise I can spread on this?" And I don't know what it was about that, but I could not hold back the laughter. And I was, that belly laughing when you can't even breathe. And I was leaned over as far as I could. And we're up in front of the world, but I'm leaned over like I'm crying or something, but I cannot breathe. And no matter how hard I tried to think of something, because it was my turn coming up uh, to bless the water, and I'm like, there's just no way I can say this blessing. So I poked my third friend. I said, "You're going to have to do this, buddy." I just could not do it, and it took everything I had not to belly laugh out loud during the sacrament, and that's the worst time,
And that was
during the
that was
sacrament.
before you covenanted to not participate in loud laughter.
Right? Yeah.
See, now
The fourth
I'll never
hymn.
forget the time that my friend couldn't say the sacrament prayer. I had already blessed the bread. It was his turn for the water, and he couldn't do it. And I turned around and I looked at the bishop, and I said, "What do I do?" He says, "You do it." That was kind of sad. But
He couldn't
and
do it because he was too nervous, or what? Why couldn't he do it?
I don't know what was going on with him at the time. Something emotionally, or we've been friends for years. I don't know what happened. It was in sacrament meeting. I remember that. But then we had the other problem. See, in Westwood Ward, the chapel on Ohio Avenue has a balcony, and the Osmonds lived in Westwood Ward. They lived right by the chapel. Their parents had bought these apartment buildings on Manning and near Manning in Ohio. And we had a balcony, and the little teeny boppers would fill that balcony for months at a time, looking for the Osmonds. And the Osmonds would usually go to UCLA branch or another branch they'd ward hop because they knew that people were looking for them. And we'd always worry about running out of bread and water for the sacrament, and which happened a couple of times because they filled the
And
balcony up.
they'd say, "Shoot, Donnie and Marie aren't here, but there's Tim Rathbone down there."
Yeah, right. Oh man, it was a mess.
I
Remember that?
there was an instance one time in San Diego at our ward, 23 blessings of the bread before
What?
they got it right.
Wow.
Yeah.
The bishop let that happen.
Well, he said that he let it happen once. He said at a certain point, now they would start cutting it off,
Well,
But
we
Like
had
over
guys.
these 23 attempts, he got all the words right. If you just figure it out.
We
And then
had
sacrament
guys.
meeting was over.
We had guys when I was in Colorado Springs on the singles ward. We had guys who worked for Carson who couldn't read and they couldn't read very well, and we had that happen once, and we asked him never to do it again because he couldn't. Took like 15 minutes to just read the sacrament prayer. It's embarrassing, So yeah.
Well, it makes time fly though, and it's less time listening to talks.
Now I'm trying to figure out in the conversation, they're talking about a guy named Tim in the chat. Are they talking about me, or who are you guys talking about?
I don't know.
It's probably
Songs come
you.
on and straighten Tim out.
Yeah, come on,
Tuesdays
Kinder.
with
Kimber
Blank.
songs. Come on and tell us what's going on.
I think they're just saying Tim just to get your attention.
The guy pushing in your rabbit is who are they talking about? Anyway.
Every ward needs somebody like Tim, right, Randy?
Well, going back to what Brother Jones was saying about the court, the church doesn't follow its own rules when it comes to courts. I mean, there was this people that sued the church. They don't announce the church used to publish excommunications in the church newspaper, in the church news, and then they stopped doing that, and then they would announce it in the ward during priesthood meeting, and then they stopped doing that, and then they'd only do it during general stake priesthood meeting, and then they stopped doing that. And even when I was the ward clerk or exec sec, and we had some excommunications. I knew that this guy had been excommunicated, who everybody looked up to. He was poking other women in the ward. He was responsible for the welfare, and to make sure the women got welfare. He gave them a little nookie, and these were women whose husbands were gone during the week. It was really a messed up thing. But
Joseph Smith like.
Joseph Smith like, exactly. And when he was excommunicated, they wouldn't say anything. And I had to ask the bishop, okay, was so-and-so excommunicated? Well, I really can't say. I'm not supposed to say. I says, the church has become that strict. Yeah, but when I was excommunicated, they called my wife and told her before I did.
And
Well,
Tim,
it's
when you
like,
were a kid in the late 1800s, the church was printed in the Deseret News.
that's right. The excommunications were printed in the Deseret News. That's right. That's right.
Well, some 8-year-old boy is a street crier screaming
Oh.
him has been excommunicated.
Okay, you're talking about the guy who pushed the mirrors in on my car. Okay, all right, I get it now. Thank you, Kinder Kim. Anyway,
Tim's not like the church. He's not 20 years behind, just 20 minutes behind.
well, I couldn't figure out what they were talking about.
Well, you know what's weird is when I was a deacon, they would frequently release the Aaronic priesthood and request that the Melchizedek priesthood stay in the chapel. And that's how we knew that someone had been excommunicated, because they would announce who was excommunicated, and then before they could come back into the church, they had to bear their testimony and apologize to the ward and ask for their forgiveness. So now it's all secretive and stuff.
Yeah, they don't do that at all anymore. Yeah, like I said, they're not supposed to tell people, but yet they called my wife, my ex-wife, and told her before I did. She knew before.
But did they tell her gleefully? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. But they weren't supposed to, but they did anyway. It's like, I said, you guys don't even follow the rules that it says. And by the way, with the 6-4 and the 6 against in the excommunication, that's the Doctrine and Covenants where it talks about church courts. That 6 are for and 6 are against the guy.
Right.
So on this note, maybe some of you have taken the time to listen to the 5.5 hours of RFM going through the story of, I believe his name's David Wright.
I knew David at BYU. Yeah.
Okay.
David P. Wright.
That presentation is well worth the listen. I'd actually like to get the transcript of his diary. He shows exactly the problem I'm telling you, what we're dealing with right now, what we've experienced right now, it really began, I would say, in probably the early 90s. Okay.
No. It began in the 50s when Lynn Packer did a video on this about how they wanted to go, part of the Quorum of the 12 wanted to teach the real history and not just doctrine, but history and keep it scholarly. And the other half, like the Packer half, wanted to teach only faithful stuff.
Right.
And he talks about that.
What this David Wright clearly, he writes extremely well, very clearly. Yes. He explains his thought process through all of this. And it is absolutely clear that from his experience, free thinking is not allowed, period.
No.
I shouldn't say that. Free thinking and speaking what you think is not allowed.
Someone wants to know my shirt. I'll have you know when I visited Brother Jones, or whatever the hell his name is. I went to Thailand to visit him. We're going to find out his name pretty soon. But anyhow, so I got this for $3. It's got some nice elephants on it. Can you read any of that? What does that stand for, Brother Jones?
Yeah, it says Chang Beverages. Chang is a major brand over here, which Chang means elephant, but it's like a primarily a beer brand.
And this is
So
soccer
you're
team?
advertising. No, they sponsor probably many soccer teams, international. They're big. They're a big company. Chang, yeah, big company, conglomerate.
Seems legit.
So this kind of a pregnant pause we have going here, but
Maybe that means we can conclude.
I
After show. Is that what
oh
we're
yeah,
going
yeah.
for? Are we gunning for the after show?
You're all waiting for the
I'm-
after show.
I'm all about that after show.
So what we're going to say?
I'm sorry. I am just giving a secret message to Gene.
Are you
Real
all
quick.
liberals? I'm not even American for that much longer.
We're liberal thinkers.
You're thinking of relinquishing Diamond
free
Dave? You're going to relinquish?
We want
I kind of want to rescind U.S. citizenship. I haven't made any official decisions. I'm kind of leaning that way.
Give it some time. Give it some time.
Yeah,
Speaking of
I'm letting it
private-
sit.
Make sure you can become a citizen there before you give up.
I'm a dual citizen of England.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
So, I mean, like in theory, like if I wanted to and like pushed it, I could, and I wouldn't be stateless because I already have citizenship. I just,
Brother, sorry.
yeah.
Brother Jones, I found his diary online. It's under the Mormon Alliance website. I'll send you the link.
Please do.
Okay.
Nah. I'm in Mongolia, so England is worse than the USA. I don't know. I think the entire West is dog shit. So
I agree with you right now.
I'm fine with being in Mongolia.
I have no opinion about any other country other than the United States and Bangkok because those are the only two countries I've been in. I don't. Not that I don't pay attention to other things.
The United States was the best country in the world until a few months ago. Well, not even that. It's been going down for years, but yeah.
Yeah, I was considering dual citizenship with Mexico because my family is all from Mexico. So
Cool.
The only country I ever thought was good was in the movie The Mouse That Roared with
Fenwick.
Fenwick, yeah, Grand Fenwick. That's I was the only cool country I ever thought. Speaking of pregnant pauses, though, there's one last story that I'll tell. Is sacrament meetings when I was a kid used to be at the end of the afternoon, right? We had already been to priesthood at 8 in the morning, and then we went to 11 o'clock Sunday school, and then around 4 o'clock we'd come back for sacrament meeting, and it was such a long day already. And high council Sundays would just go on and on and on. And
yes.
This one really nice guy. His name was Archie Briggs. He fought in World War II, lost an arm, so he'd always have his arm sort of jacket tucked in to his coat somehow, maybe pinned in there or whatever. And he's given this talk about something. It could have been polygamy for all I know, but it was going on and on and on. And then he was flipping pages, and he was like, "Oh, I'm lost." And then he spent like 5 minutes, a combination of looking and saying some things here and there in between pages, and then you just had to wrap it up, almost like if there was a what's that the curl cane that takes somebody off the stage.
All those.
Okay.
Yeah, that's almost like that could have happened, but anyway, that was a pregnant pause that, just like Satan, it was like I understand, like when the Niagara Falls once stopped because of an ice flow situation, and people at like 3 a.m, and people that lived there got out of bed because the silence was deafening, because they were used to just the roar of the falls, and when it stopped, that like shook them out of bed because there was silence. So it's kind of a weird. That was like that for that meeting.
Okay, I'm going to do a shout out. Everybody go see Superman. I saw it this afternoon, and it's great.
That's a story about me.
Yes, it's a story about you, Gene.
I saw it. I did not like it one bit. I did not like it. There's my opposing opinion. All opposed, I oppose.
Okay.
What are we opposing
Did
or
you
supporting?
stay? Did you stay to the very end of after the credits rolled and everything?
I did not. I did not.
Aha! You have to stay to the very, very end, right to the last credit, when the last credit rolls and there's a second ending that really ties it all up.
What movie are we talking about?
Superman, the new Superman movie.
Oh. Hi, Michelle.
I wanted to say
Hi, Michelle.
hi. I wanted to say hi, and I just wanted to mention. So when Gene put up his turd polish, which I think is really weird, but anyway, I think the last time he came back to our he came back to our bedroom where I was painting and listening to you guys.
Aw.
And he came back and kissed me and gave me a squeeze and and said hi. So he doesn't always go get food, but sometimes he does. So anyway, I just thought I'd say hi and let you guys know that once in a while, yeah.
That was a funny church story. The Church of Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're so much better to look at, Michelle, than Gene. So
Yes.
that juxtaposition right there just confirms it.
Turd polish is an improvement. Is that what you're saying?
I think you should
Blessed
change
be
it
the fruit.
personally, but-
Kinder Kim says hi.
May the Lord
Hi.
open.
Hi.
Hello. And hey, if you haven't watched Jules' interview, I really enjoyed it. So go
Watch
listen
Jules.
to that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hi,
yeah.
Jules. I
Watch
haven't met
Jules'
you yet.
interview.
Anyway,
Yeah,
so I
thank
just
you,
had to pop
Jules.
in.
Yay.
Anyway, so you guys have fun. See you later. Bye,
He loved
everybody.
Bye.
He loved
Love
the
you.
beef stew, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I did.
Yeah, it
We
tasted
worked on
really
it together.
good.
We made it together. So
I could smell it all the way here in Bakersfield.
no, there's nothing like beef stew. All right, you guys.
It was a nice hearty winter meal that we made in the middle of summer. Because it's actually been, or in the Bay Area, it's only been like 70, 75, 69, almost every day. Just a couple of 80-degree days.
It's
That's
over
San
100
Diego.
here. It's wet in San Diego.
Oh, yeah, that's year round weather, 70s. Yeah.
It was 100. It was 100 a while ago, and now it's down to 91. It was 102 today when I was out.
See, I'm in Albuquerque right now, and we've been in the 90s midday. We're at 82 right now.
This is just a boastful thing, but my son, I was shocked to see a picture of him on the red carpet of the new Superman movie. Because
Wow.
Warner Brothers had invited him to, to walk the red carpet and put him in,
To a
he was in
screening.
costume and everything. Yeah, it was fun. He doesn't brag about that stuff to me, so I have to discover it accidentally and say, What are you doing on the red carpet?
Mm.
Wow.
But the bragging part was that it was 71 today in Spokane, Washington.
Wow.
September 22nd, I'll be in San Diego permanently now. So,
Yeah, you moving?
yep, moving. Got the job offer today.
Cool.
So,
Oh, nice. What are you
Congratulations.
going to be doing, Jules?
I'm still going to be a nurse with the VA. So,
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's right. You're a nurse.
yeah, medical specialties. So it'll be like cardiology and multiple different specialties. I have like
Wow.
several job offers sitting over there. There's two that they gave me today. And if the surgical comes along, I don't know, I may take that one.
Oh, that sounds like interesting. I was going to say fun, but interesting.
Yeah, they said it would be critical care, which is my, I know about like the back of my hand.
Wow.
Critical care is my thing. 13 years ER. So,
Wow. Wow.
seen the Lazarus effect.
That's really awesome that you have job opportunities lined up.
Yeah.
I know good nurses are in high demand. And
Very
thank you
high demand.
songs.
Yes. Yeah. Nurses are in high. My sister is a nurse, my youngest sister. So yeah, I appreciate nurses. Well, every time I go to the hospital, I tell the nurses how much I appreciate them.
Well, I appreciate them.
Yeah, me too. They make everything happen. They know more than the doctor sometimes.
I appreciate them unless they hurt me.
Last time I went to go see my doctor, the nurse and I were talking about that. She says, I can't tell you this, but okay, give me the skinny. And she did. And I went, all right. So now I know what's going to happen. She says, I looked at your test. Okay. And don't tell them I told you this. Okay.
The thing nurses, you have to stay, you can tell the patient kind of a vague explanation, but you also have to be an advocate for your patient. That's the big thing about nursing. You're an advocate for them. Because sometimes you see
one
the
of you was one of you was saying that don't you hate that when everyone don't you hate that when you start talking at the same time and so you pause? Someone was saying that everyone has a dark side, and I know that I've got several of them, but my phone number is 1 digit off from the Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale, Arizona. 1 digit, and it's right next to the real digit. So multiple times a day, I get wrong numbers thinking it's the Mayo Clinic. I can't tell you how tempted I am. It's the urology department. How tempted I am when they call up and say, yeah, I'm just calling about Roger Steinfeld's test to see how he's doing. Or, I always want to say, are you sitting down? Because I've got some bad news. but I haven't brought myself to do that yet.
It makes me think of airplane though. Remember when they're at the Mayo Clinic and it's got all the Mayo cans and jars in the background?
Yeah.
You're going to say, this is not the Mayo Clinic, it's the Mayonnaise Clinic. Eating up on them.
Oh, brother.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we're only hanging around just because of Brother Jones now. We're waiting to say goodbye to everybody.
I think so.
Okay. I don't know if MB or Kim or Songs or anybody else is going to join us.
We'll give them a few minutes. They can join us for the after show.
Yeah.
And look,
it's a real party. It's a real party. You should join in.
If you think this is a party, just wait for the after show.
That's when the party gets rough.
MB is here in the 505 with me. I haven't met her.
Really?
Yeah.
The 505.
You want to pop in and give some crazy Mormon stories anything that happens in
On your mission or in the church?
on your
Josh?
mission or at a sacrament meeting, I'll try
Gene
to do
MB is asking for the link.
Oh,
one last time. Everybody cut and paste.
you do. You can. You're the only one that can do it. We can't do it.
Yeah, it takes
There
a
it
little while
is.
for it to appear.
There's the link. There's the link. MB.
I always want to say that the link is in the comments.
That's right.
Comment in the links. Comment the link in the links. And the links and the links.
The link is down below. You know,
Down there, somewhere in the.
right
Yeah,
over
it's
here.
buried. It's buried.
Yeah, I think it's over there for me.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. Well, I'm
Latter
the
Daily
center.
Digest.
I'm the center. Well, not the. Anyway, whatever.
Grace 505 is the area code here in Albuquerque.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called one of my mods is asking what 505 stood for. What was it Levi's jeans or? But yeah, 505 is our area code. It's also called ABQ.
Okay,
Is that
Jacques.
why the salsa?
Wow,
the
people
505
don't do
salsa?
that any. People don't do that anymore with letters. Wow.
Yeah, and once you've lived here for a while, you're considered a Burqueño. It's just what they call it.
Porqueño. Like a
Yeah,
So
Puerto Riqueño from Puerto
there's a
Rico.
505 and 575.
yeah, 505 and 575, but it's mainly the 505,
Yeah.
and it's also known for a lot of people always ask about what was it, the TV show film here, Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Hmm. Netflix
And
Studios.
the salsa. 505 salsa.
Well, see, here
Netflix-
everything's about green or red. What color chili pepper do you want to eat? Do you want green or
Right.
you want red? Or do you want Christmas?
Well, if there was a different color of salsa, that would be a little funky. Just saying.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bounce. Actually, it's almost
All right.
noon, and I have not been to bed yet.
Go
So,
to sleep.
Oh, jeez.
I'm
Go
going to
hug
bed.
that beautiful wife of yours. And give her a
We
kiss.
miss-
Will do.
We missed you
Will
last
do.
week, Diamond. We're glad
Yeah,
you came
I'll try and drop by as I can. Busy,
Okay.
you know how it goes. Deuces.
So
Right
Yeah.
on.
that's all for people that want to join the after show.
And our minor league baseball team, the Isotopes.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow. I love
It
me a
makes
good
sense.
isotope.
Well, didn't we do the Manhattan Project here out in
Alamogordo.
Alamogordo? Yeah. So the Isotopes is actually
Cool.
part of. It was actually a Simpsons episode that came up with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kimberly, you only want to be on for the after show, right? Okay.
I guess so. I don't know. All right. Let's say goodbye and good night. And
Good night, everybody. Thanks
look
for
for us
Love
watching.
y'all.
next week
Mean it.
for more thrills and
Maybe Megan
bills and
will
adventures.
hop on for the after show. I don't know.
We'll have to
But
do this again for Megan since it was her suggestion.
we'll just have her take an hour and a half and touch all the stuff that's happened in her life.
Right on. Right on.
The
yes.
Megan show.
The Megan
Right.
Show.
Everyone
All right.
have
Bye,
a great
y'all.
rest of
Great
2025.
rest of evening. Good
subscribe.
night.
Many
Go
of you
see
are going to-
Superman. Oh, and go see F1 also. F1 is really good. I really enjoyed F1. Anyway.
Let it die, Tim.
Oh, and there's one more movie, but I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, I'll let it die.
And but you can come in. I won't add you until.
Yeah, we won't add you until we're done. So
And Jacques,
10,
do you need me to
9,
send it to you
8,
on Facebook?
7,
Yeah.
6, 5, 4, 3,
Everybody
2,
wave bye.
1.